Zambia's Minister of Mines and Minerals announced this week during the African Mining Indaba in Cape Town that the southern African country has discovered a vast copper deposit. Newzroom Afrika's business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo caught up with Stanbic Zambia CEO Mwindwa Siakalima for more details. She started off the conversation by asking why this year's Indaba is so significant.
I think the growth in terms of the mining production capacity for Africa is very key, especially as we go through the energy transition. Obviously headed towards net zero, carbon footprint, and it is basically key in that yes, we're looking at it from an energy side as well as a mining side, but the Indaba this year, I think opened up with the theme, which is embracing disruption in this new era. And if you look at it, basically the disruption that we're seeing north of South Africa from an African continent is how can we then grow the mining production capacity. Specifically for Zambia, what we're looking at is basically growing from currently below 1 million metric tons of copper to 3 million tons of copper in the next 8 years, if you like. So midpoint is about 3 years from now. We need to be thinking about 1.5 million metric tons of copper. With that, there's a lot of things that we need to think about in terms of infrastructure, spend, how we're looking at road and rail. Those are discussions that have been happening at the Indaba, how we think about energy that will help us as a country to support that growth.
And I suppose good news as well for Zambia is that the largest copper deposits ever recorded in the country's mining history have been discovered. And I hear that was confirmed at this year's Mining Indaba. Do you have any details around that?
So I heard the good news yesterday, and I think we are all elated. It's very good news that comes. Essentially, I think what's important is how do we add value to the mineral resource that we have. But also, I think more importantly is to say how are we then going to get to a point of production in terms of what has been identified. That journey basically is one thing that we'd like to be part of as an institution. Essentially, if you look at the production levels that we would like to get to, which is our aspiration, is about 3 million tons, and we are still under 1 million tons from a production capacity. That news basically is one of the key ingredients to getting us to the 3 million tons, and we're looking forward to making sure that as an institution we are part of that story. And generally, I think it's basically not just what was announced. There are also other developments of going back to the mines that exist. Reinvestment has also been announced in the different mines that exist either in the northwestern province or the Copperbelt province of Zambia, where more investment in the existing mines is actually being earmarked, announced, and being part of the process of increasing this production is one thing that we're looking at as Stanbic Zambia, basically to support even the ecosystems that are around those mining giants that are making all these announcements that we're happy about.
With this discovery, AI did play a role as well. So perhaps just looking at the future investments in this industry, what sort of trends are we to see perhaps in the next 5 to 10 years that Zambia is really investing in as it explores all these different opportunities, technology included?
So from a Zambia perspective, what you see is there's a lot of focus around ensuring that technology is at the key of or at the center and being key in terms of growth of the economy. So taking center stage is one thing that we've seen technology come through with, and with that we're seeing lots of emphasis. Technology basically, I think, starts with, let's go back, it starts with the early years, and we've seen that there's lots of emphasis by the government in ensuring that there's internet in the schools, there's internet in the colleges, and as well as tertiary university. In fact, I think there's free internet for secondary schools in Zambia, and that's being made available by institutions. So once we get the population, obviously, being part of the technological advancement and transformation that we're seeing around the world, that's the starting point. How we are then looking at how that then transfers into the different areas and sectors, mining, manufacturing, energy, and the other sectors that are there. We then start harnessing what we would have benefited, along the way with our people, then getting educated from a technical perspective. Coming back to the AI discussion, these are very novel things that are happening, very encouraging, and obviously will help in terms of shortening the time in which you basically are looking to get a mineral resource. And I think it's been proven from what we heard that obviously that exploration time can be shortened. But also what that means is once an investor invests, it shortens the time of investments to the time they look at earning a return on investment, which then helps, I think, even from a financing perspective. So I think just connecting all the dots, this will ensure that there's a shorter period of time in which things can be done. Lots of learning, obviously, from a community perspective, which will come through. And there's always a first step, and we're seeing the announcements that were made to be the giant leap that will help us in terms of just understanding this subject better and better. But we're happy that the journey has started. So that makes us very, very happy as well.